watching Miracles, a CBS 6 News special presentation.
A Chesterfield couple got more than they bargained for when they went to a church fundraiser. A miracle outside the Unity Christ Church of Bon Air, and a whole crowd witnessed it too. Taking long walks together is something Marshall and Pat Horton say they'll never take for granted again.
We're a lot more patient with each other, a lot more tolerant, and it's a deeper love, I feel.
Oh yeah, very blessed to have him.
It was just 5 months ago their world was divided by tragedy.
Well, from what I understand, I was dead.
It's something I don't want to live through again.
They say the power of prayer changed their lives, and now they're sharing their story, their miracle. It was June 7th, 2003, the day of their church's annual Arts in the Garden fundraiser. Hello! Reverend Joyce Fisher-Pierce remembers Marshall videotaping that rainy afternoon.
So it was really, really wonderful to see the number of people that came still.
Walking from booth to booth, Marshall was capturing the excitement of that day.
Oh, and here's the hot dog stand.
Little did he know that moments later, his wife would be at that stand for lunch, and the unthinkable would happen.
I noticed Pat going, and I said, "Are you having a problem?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Can you breathe?" And she said, and she couldn't speak.
It was like a sink stop in my throat.
Frantic, Marshall and then several others tried the Heimlich maneuver.
And by that time, I understand that there were cell phones everywhere calling 911.
As paramedics just down the road responded, Marshall grew hysterical.
You know, I'm a fixer, and I wanted to fix it. I couldn't fix it. I couldn't do anything.
She had a complete airway obstruction.
Joanne Taylor and her husband, both registered nurses, were on scene that day, and together they tried to create an airway for Pat to breathe. An artist standing nearby later drew the sketch.
And she's on the ground, unconscious.
And it was raining.
Her eyes glassed over.
She wasn't breathing.
He just could not revive her.
She was deeply purple, blue color. After 3 minutes, she lost her pulse.
By that time, the paramedics had arrived to help.
And it seemed like he had everything from all kinds of instruments down her throat trying to pull out or try to make a place for her to breathe. And there was nothing.
In my mind, I realized that we were losing her, we were lost her, she was gone. And at the same time, at that point is when I heard Joyce in the background.
Reverend Joyce Fisher-Pierce knew faith was all that was left.
Somebody said, "Let's have a prayer."
And everybody stopped everything and grabbed the hands. You could feel the strength from that group.
As I prayed, it wasn't begging God or anything like that. I said, just, we see Pat. Thank you, God. We see her breathing. We see her heart beating. She is vibrantly alive.
Hearing those words, Joanne and the paramedics say something else seemed to take over.
Like an angel, it just came through to me.
I heard from Joanne, she said, her heart's beating. Her heart's beating. She shouldn't have a heart beating. Her heart's beating.
And I remember thinking, my medical mind was thinking, that's wonderful, her heart's starting, but I wonder why.
The food was still lodged deep in Pat's throat, and paramedics knew they had to get her to the hospital immediately. But as they loaded Pat into the ambulance, she says the most unusual thing happened.
There was another me setting up in the ambulance, looking down at myself. It looked clear as day.
And then, amazingly, the food dislodged itself.
With no coughing. She was still unconscious. Her face never changed. No physical effort on her part. It was in her mouth. I've never seen that.
We were all just, praise God, this is so beautiful. And it was.
At the hospital, Marshall held his wife close.
He said, "You scared the wad out of me."
You can't believe what you put us through. And she says,
"I'm sorry."
The very next day, Pat was in church.
I couldn't keep her home. She had to come and give that love back to the people that had given it to her.
People that I did not know were coming up to me, hugging me, and telling me how glad they were to see me here.
To have people recognize the power of prayer, the power of God, the power of coming together and having just faith.
Today, Marshall and Pat embrace that faith.
I think that it was very much not my time to go.
And now, as often as possible, they walk in their church's meditation garden, thanking God for what He had done.
It was a miracle.
Now, ever since that rainy afternoon in June, Pat and Marshall say they felt more at peace with each other, with their two daughters, Tricia and Susan, and most importantly, with God. Pat says she no longer fears death, and she no longer eats Italian sausages.
Spend just a few minutes with Ella Thompson. You can see why these children are so drawn to her.
Well, Ella is an amazing person, and I feel like she is somebody that I can really look up to. I trust her, and I trust everybody here. I feel so safe here.
Yours is backwards.
Ella is a counselor at the Comfort Zone Camp, a place for children dealing with the loss of a loved one.
I felt really sad. I felt like my entire world had just fallen apart.
She's a friend and mentor to hundreds of grieving children because she knows all too well their pain.
There was a song we used to dance to, and he'd put us on a chair and dance with us. It was Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton. I can't listen to it, even now.
It's been 5 years to the day that Ella's life changed forever. The day her father never came home from his job at the World Trade Center.
I really miss the hugs. He was the one that I would go to when I needed to talk, when I needed a hug, when I needed someone to really just feel like it's okay.
43-year-old Clive Thompson, called Ian by his friends and family, brought his family to the U.S. from Great Britain when Ella was just 3 years old. He worked hard, not only as a money broker, but as a volunteer paramedic. Ian was one of the first people on scene to help after the World Trade Center bombing in 1993.
He just was a really good person.
But on September 11th, Thompson's family doesn't believe he had the chance to help anyone. It's believed the second hijacked plane slammed directly into his office. To this day, Ella has not seen the video that most of the world has.
If I watch the tape, I'm probably watching the moment he dies, and that's just too much.
Months after her father's death, Ella's mom, Lucy, sent a reluctant Ella and her younger sister, Rachel, to the Comfort Zone camp. Founder Lynn Hughes brought the Richmond-based camp to New Jersey in the wake of September 11th to help children just like Ella.
I saw somebody who was, emotional, somebody who was raw, somebody who was, outwardly hurting and looking for answers.
But at the camp, where she spent several days shedding tears and grieving, Ella eventually found comfort among new friends like Mary Haggerty.
Just since we had both lost our dads, we could really relate to missing things like our Sweet 16 party without him, and then eventually our weddings without him.
A lot of people feel alone, I think, when these sort of things happen, which is completely understandable because you often feel alone in your grief, but here you don't. There's always someone who knows just the right thing to say.
That support gave Ella the strength to find the answers she was looking for. Shortly after her father's death, she traveled to Japan on a goodwill mission to meet children from other countries like Afghanistan and Iraq.
People are always shocked to hear that I have these amazing friends in Afghanistan. I will never be angry at them or their countries or their cultures because I got to know them. I really feel that ignorance breeds hate.
It was one more step that put Ella on the road to recovery.
We've all been through so much.
But it's been reaching out to younger children like Melissa Macklin, whose father died in a car accident, that's helped her heal the most.
It helps to know that Ella and all the other big buddies have gone through all the stuff that we have. Because if I talk about me losing my father with my friends, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't want pity, I just want somebody to talk with.
As a junior counselor and a counselor, I've sat in with kids and their stories have just completely touched my heart.
It's something she hopes her father would be proud of, yet the pain of his loss is still very overwhelming 5 years later.
Even though I'm in this, great place in my grief, it's just too much because I still lost my dad. Even if I'm okay with that, I found ways to make it a good thing, I've still lost my dad. And he's the only dad I ever get.
But she's now following his life lesson, paying it forward.
All right, come on, guys, look up.
She's going to leave her mark in a big way, because that, that's Ella, with a big exclamation point and a smile, and it's going to be cool to see.
3 months might not seem like a very long time, but to a 6-year-old boy,
Maybe I'll hug him.
12 weeks can be an eternity.
Well, my mama and me came here because we wanted to see Daddy's ship come by.
Cody Anning's father is on board the USS Portland. The ship left for the Persian Gulf, delivering a precious cargo of combat Marines to Kuwait during Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Well, my mama thought maybe it'd be good if I dress up this way because, sailors can be on ships and ships are coming back.
The importance of his dad's mission is not lost on this little guy.
I guess I'm proud of him because he's been fighting for freedom.
Cody's mom says this deployment has been tough, especially with the country at war. With the Portland sailing out of harm's way, she's breathing easier.
This is an incredible homecoming. We're excited to have him home.
Tip your hat, Daddy.
With his father's ship in sight,
Oh, I see him now.
Yeah, you see him.
this family reunion, 3 months in the making, is finally here.
It's a good feeling to be home. Everybody's just happy to be here.
I guess I really like it that he came back.
That might be the understatement of the year. Now it's time for this family to get reacquainted.
Well, we asked if I missed him and he said yes.
In Virginia Beach, I'm Greg McQuade, News 6 Network. Walk into Croker's spot with an appetite.
We have the best fish.
Along with your fried fish boat and block of cornbread,
our food is really, really good.
You'll also get a heaping side dish of the past.
Kroger's is an experience, from the employees to the decor to the food. It all has some history behind it.
Sitting at the corner of 2nd and Lee Streets in Richmond's Jackson Ward,
I think that we're very, very blessed to be in the place that we are.
The popular eatery joins a long line of businesses that thrived in this area, once known as the Black Wall Street.
It was obviously the center of black enterprise.
Largely excluded from doing business elsewhere in Richmond, a generation of doctors, beauticians, lawyers, bankers, and restaurateurs all found economic freedom flourishing in this city within a city. Historian Greg Kimball.
And it created a black middle class, which, when you think of it, really was not something that could even really exist before the Civil War.
Businesses like the Southern Aid Society, the oldest black-owned insurance company in the South, started catering to disenfranchised customers in the 1890s. St. Luke Penny Savings Bank, founded by monumental figure Maggie Walker in 1903, encouraged self-sufficiency by helping African Americans buy homes. Walker's Bank, now Consolidated Bank and Trust, still operates to this day.
We've been here in business over 102 years, literally on this corner.
Kim Saunders follows in Walker's footsteps as bank president.
And as we look around at Richmond and see all that's going on, we continue to see our role the same as she did.
You cannot study Richmond or Virginia's history without studying the history of Jackson Ward.
Elvatrice Belchis, author of Black America Richmond, believes Jackson Ward's pioneering entrepreneurs impacted African Americans not only in this city, but across Virginia and beyond.
It's a testament to faith and perseverance.
2 Street didn't just serve as a financial backbone for Jackson Ward during its heyday. It was also an entertainment mecca, attracting many big-name performers. The place to see and be seen, the Hippodrome Theater. The likes of Duke Ellington, Sarah Vaughan, and Louis Armstrong, among others, all graced the stage at the now silent Hippo.
But it was the place to come to on your tour if you were an African-American entertainer.
Before dancing his way into America's heart, native son Bill Bojangles Robinson tapped his way through the streets of Jackson Ward. Sculptor Leslie Garland Bowling also carved quite a legacy for himself, depicting African-American life through his work. With each passing year, Jackson Ward's reputation as a cultural hotbed spread across the nation.